Hey, you! I need you to hit the subscribe button below.
Shalom. This is Bishop Nathaniel of Israel United in Christ. I want to start off by saying thank you to all of our Booster Club members for your many donations and much more, your prayers. We visited faraway countries and strange lands. We've even spoken to dignitaries and were detained for spreading the glorious gospel in Cuba. The truth is that the descendants of the 12 tribes of Israel were scattered throughout the world. Help us on our journey as we continue to raise up the nation of Israel. 12 tribes worldwide. Join or donate today. Shalom.
If you're still battling, you're still not ruling your household, you're ever learning, never able to come into the knowledge of the truth. Because things should start to change. The understanding that we get is not there to keep you in the same place. It's there to propel you. Give me that where it says, basically your wisdom will bring you before great men, or your talent will bring you before great men. Your understanding and your wisdom will put you in certain places. So if you have it, if you have wisdom, you have knowledge, you have understanding, you'll see everything around you start to change. You won't be in the same room. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, don't worry about it. We'll find it. We'll find it as we go. Go to Jeremiah 17:9. So ever learning, never able to come into the knowledge of the truth. Jeremiah 17 and verse 9.
Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 9.
Uh-huh.
The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it?
Read it again.
The heart is deceitful above all things.
The heart is deceitful above all things. Read.
And desperately wicked.
And what?
And desperately wicked.
And desperately wicked. Read.
Who can know it?
Who can know it? So why did I go here? Because now I'm going to get into the next part of gaining understanding. Remember, we said you had to become as a little child. All right. And you have to humble yourself. Now, does understanding just plop in your brain one day? You wake up and you just learn everything? No, that's not what happens. From the survey we just did, 9 times out of 10, somebody clicked on a video, or you may have ran into the prophets in the streets, or you have a family member that told you to come. Those are the top. That's not the way it always happens, but that's usually what happens. Somebody is teaching the word of God. A man or woman gave you the understanding that you had. Now, once you get it, it's up to you on how to gain more. But that grasped your ear. That made you wonder and say, okay, this makes sense. Now, where do I go from here? Where do I go from here? How do I get more understanding? I want to be able to answer more questions. I never forget when I first started watching Bishop. I had wrote him a message on Facebook. That's back when he actually ran to Facebook. And I said, hey, I want to know what you know so I can, because I thought I was going to be a professional athlete. I was like, so when I can speak before people, I want to be able to sound like you. He said, all right, well, watch class. Never forget that. He sent me the link, and I started watching class. And then it never stopped from there. But the understanding comes from somebody else. You never just get the understanding by yourself. That's why when people say, I got the understanding of this person, that they don't. Because it's not going in the order, in the way the Most High sets it up. The only people the Most High dealt with personally, you know about it. Moses, you can read about. Paul, you can read about. Paul said Christ taught him. Other than that, all the other examples we read, they were taught. Joshua was a servant to Moses. Jeremiah and Ezekiel and all of them, they were priests, so they learned from the other priests and the elders. He sent Isaiah. He told Isaiah a few things. Who else we got? The 12 disciples, they were taught by Christ. Titus and all them, they were taught by Paul. So you see the example, somebody has to teach you. Wisdom doesn't just descend upon you. Y'all understand that? And if you're wise, you respect the men that came before you that are teaching you. Because the Most High will take their understanding away. But let's get into that real quick. Let's get into that. Acts 8 and 27. I'm going to back up what I just said. That wisdom doesn't just plop on your head. Doesn't work like that. This ain't the Christian church. You don't catch the Holy Ghost and the Holy Spirit and then next week you're a bishop. Only in Christianity that happens. I have a revelation, now I got to start my own church. No. That's not how this thing works. Read that.
Acts chapter 8, verse 27.
Uh-huh.
And he arose and went, and behold, a man of Ethiopia, and eunuch of great authority under Candace, the queen of the Ethiopians, who had the charge of all her treasure, and had come to Jerusalem for to worship.
So, why was this Ethiopian coming to Jerusalem to worship? Who can give me an understanding on that? Brother Todd, look like you know. Who got the mic so they can speak on the mic? I know we got a million mics. There ain't but 2 people here today.
He was an Israelite?
Right, he was an Israelite. That's correct. But why were they coming to Jerusalem? This is the key part, especially dealing with the time of the year it is right now.
It was a high holiday.
There you go. So, meaning what?
They had to come. It was I believe three times out of the year you had to come before the
Boom. There you go. So it was written in the commandment that 3 times out of the year you had to come to Jerusalem to worship. Go to Deuteronomy 16 and 16. So they were keeping the commandments that somebody taught them. Deuteronomy 16 and 16.
Deuteronomy chapter 16 and verse 16. 3 times in a year shall all thy males appear before the Lord, thy God, in the place which he shall choose, in the feast of unleavened bread, and in the feast of weeks, and in the feast of tabernacles. And they shall not appear before the Lord empty.
So, now we know why this Ethiopian was coming to Jerusalem. To keep the commandments of God. Interesting. Now, read verse 28.
Verse 28. Was returning and sitting in his chariot, read Isaiah the prophet.
So, while he was in his way to Jerusalem, he was reading the book of Isaiah. Read.
Then the Spirit said unto Philip, Go near and join thyself to this chariot. And Philip ran thither to him, and heard him read the prophet Isaiah, and said, Understandest thou what thou readest?
So a prophet who had the understanding of the Bible, he see this man who doesn't have as much understanding. He said, hey, do you understand what you are reading? Read.
And he said, How can I?
He said, what?
How can I?
He understood. What spirit was that? What type of spirit did he have? A humble spirit. A humble spirit. A lot of times, brothers and sisters, we don't even have the spirit humble enough to ask somebody the question. No, you just got it all together. You know everything. My bad. I mean, hey, we should have made you a bishop last week. I know you just got here last week. But he was humble enough to ask the question. He said, how can I? He understood that wisdom don't just descend upon you. Yeah, the Most High like, hey, all praises. It says that the angels rejoice when a sinner repenteth. That still don't mean he's going to talk to you face to face and give you an understanding of the Bible. No. That's not how this thing works. Read it again.
And he said, how can I?
How can I read?
Except some man should guide me.
Uh-huh.
And he desired Philip that he would come up and sit with him.
You see that? He desired Philip. Meaning he wanted to get the understanding. He wanted somebody to guide him and walk him along in his understanding of the scriptures. That's why we have all the different programs set up as far as learning. The 4 chapters a day, the 3 classes a day. All those different things, the 15 minutes with the captains, the bishop classes, how we have classes 3 times a day, 31 days of camp. All these different things are set up to apply that scripture right there. How can I except some man should guide me? Because if you have the understanding, it's your job to teach others. That's why you should obviously you learn first and foremost, so you can apply the scriptures, so you can change your life. Once you've done that, you see it work with you, you're like, okay, hey, this thing works. Then you should want to take that same understanding and help somebody else. That's the process. In the world, they say each one teach one. In the Bible, it says set thy house in order, then renounce corruption. That's what the Bible says. So, how can I accept some man guide me? Go to Sirach 20 and verse 32. Sirach chapter 20 and verse 32. So, keeping it in context of how to get understanding, you need somebody to teach you. That's how you get understanding. Somebody has to guide you. You have to be humble. You have to throw away your own understanding of the Bible and come into this truth with an open mind. An open mind that's closed to the Bible, if that makes sense. You're open to learn, but it's closed, meaning it's only going to receive scriptural instruction, not everything else. I read that.
Sirach chapter 20 verse 32.
Necessary
patience.
What?
Necessary patience in seeking the Lord is better than he that leadeth his life without a guide.
You see that? You being patient is better than you living your life without a guide. So it's showing you would want a guide in this lifetime. You would want somebody to show you right from wrong, to guide you in the scriptures. That's what we all need. I remember when I called Orlando, I was in Tally. I called Elder Kanai at the time, and he was like, hey, all right, I'm going to set you up with this officer. And then the next officer. But you have to have a guide in the scriptures. Somebody has to be there for you, or a counselor in the scriptures. That's why when you brothers and sisters come in, after you've been here a certain amount of time, we assign you a counselor or a big sister, so you can get your affairs together. Because now we see, okay, this brother or sister is serious in this truth. Now we're going to make sure you get the things that you need scripturally with a counselor, somebody that has experience in understanding that you lack, so you don't make the same mistakes that they made. All right, from there, go to 1 John chapter 4 and verse 1. So now you understand that somebody has to guide you. That's what a lot of y'all got to this point. You said somebody got to guide me, and that's what most people, they join a camp, which is all praise for that. All praise to the Most High. Now, most of y'all in here, you made the right choice. Some of our brothers and sisters did. I ain't saying every camp is bad, but this is how you should make that choice. This is what the Bible says how you should make that choice, because you need to be with a camp. Doesn't have to be I.U.I.C, but it does have to meet to certain standards. Read that, 1 John chapter 4 and verse 1.
Beloved, believe not every spirit.
Do what?
Believe not every spirit.
So the Bible says, believe not every spirit. Read.
But try the spirit.
But what?
But try the spirit.
That's what, when we say try the spirit, what's another word for that? Starts with a P. Prove. Prove the spirits. Prove the spirits. That's what we tell brothers and sisters. They watch, they see, we say, all right, hey, prove. Prove it for yourself. Prove your own self. See if you're serious about it. Read.
Whether they are of God.
Whether what?
Whether they are of God.
Read.
Because many false prophets are gone out into the world.
So you want to try the spirit and you want to see. Is this brother or sister of God? So if we assign you a big sister or we assign you a counselor, you want to see, okay, is this brother or sister of God? Do they keep the commandments? Do they keep the Sabbath day? Yes. So that's why I say with I.U.I.C, we do all these things. Yeah, I mean, you ain't got to look too hard. Like, all right, cool. The machine's already moving. So now you just got to fall in line. But to your brother and sister that's online, you examine it. You see for yourself. Are they applying the words of God? The scripture says, they that understand amongst the people shall instruct many. Meaning what? They should be on the streets. They should be on the internet. They should be on the television. They should be on the billboards. They should be teaching and instructing many if that's somebody that's applying the commandments. That's how you try the spirit. Read verse 2.
Hereby know ye the spirit of God.
Read.
Every spirit that confesseth that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is of God.
So they have to admit that Christ came in the flesh. Now a lot of times we read that, we say, yeah, in the flesh. They have to admit that Jesus Christ is a black man. Meaning he had brown flesh. If they say that Jesus Christ, right, well, no, what they say? They say he's all people, all colors, or he didn't have a color. They're denying that Jesus Christ came in the flesh. Have any of y'all seen somebody that's all colors? That has flesh? I've never seen that flesh yet. What they call it, confetti bread? I ain't never seen somebody with confetti bread flesh. You're not going to find it. You're not going to find it. They have to admit that he came in the flesh. Read.
Verse 3. And every spirit that confesseth not that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is not of God.
They're not of God. If they say he was born immaculate, because that's not of the flesh. That means he's just born of an angel. No, that's not scriptural. It says that he was born like unto his brethren. How was his brothers born? Of sexual intercourse. The same way he was born. He was born in the same manner. So if they say anything else, they are not of God. Read.
And this is that spirit of Antichrist, whereof ye have heard that it should come, and even now already is it in the world.
So that spirit of deceit, of lies, that spirit is already in the world. It was in the world at that time and it's in the world now. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed to this day. So, while I go there, try the spirits of the brothers and sisters that are leading over you. Make sure they line up with the Bible. They're doing what the Bible says. So if you were to come in, you didn't know, you came in and you saw one brother in here and he had the whole front row was his wife, that should raise a flag. If you came in here and you saw sisters all in pants, that should raise a flag. You saw the brothers over there rolling up a spliff, ain't that what it's called? Spliff? I don't know, I ain't never smoked. Whatever it's called. Alright? That should raise a flag. But guess what? You're not going to see that in IUIC. And I pray you don't see that in other camps. But the Bible, because the spirit of deceit is in the earth, the Bible tells you to try the spirits. If we had a big image of a white man behind us, should get up and walk out. Because that's not scripture. Alright? Matthew 7 and 15. Matthew chapter 7 and verse 15. Keep it in context of how to get understanding. So you humbled yourself. You found a teacher. Now you're examining the teacher. You realize, hey, this is the truth. I need to get around brothers and sisters that can teach me and build me up. Because I know that I can't get all the understanding by myself. So I got to get around a body of believers. Who do I join? Read that.
Matthew chapter 7 verse 15.
Beware
of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing.
So the Bible says, beware of false prophets that come to you in sheep's clothing. Read.
But inwardly they are ravening wolves.
But what?
But inwardly they are ravening wolves.
But inwardly They are ravening wolves. Read.
Ye shall know them by their fruit.
That's the key part. You shall what?
Ye shall know them by their fruit.
The Bible says you're going to know them by their fruits. Read.
Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles? Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit.
So, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit. Now, like we always say, the Bible says you got to lead through. There's always going to be issues in a church. We're not saying that there's no issues in all IUIC branches. That's what we're saying. What we're saying is you're going to see works. So if you're discerning whether or not you should learn from this brother, that sister, so on and so forth, what are their works? What are they doing? For example, I keep it on a carnal level. If you join a team, right? You join a sports team. Let's say you join a basketball team. Do you go to the end of the bench and find a brother that never get in and say, hey, I'm going to let this, me and you, we're going to shoot after practice. You're going to make me better. No, that's not how it works. If you're in the classroom, everybody take a test, you did bad, you say, hey, what you got? You got 32? I want you to be my teacher. That's not how it works. You want to find a brother or sister in the body that's excelling, meaning they're doing things. Meaning they don't just come in and sit down and do nothing. The brother don't just come in, sit down and do nothing. You want brothers and sisters that are putting in bricks, that have fruits. Because if they're doing stuff, that means the Spirit of the Lord is within them. Because the Most High don't just sit still. He's moving. He's not the God of the dead. He's the God of the living. So when he descends his Spirit upon people, they're going to be active. So don't find a brother or sister that's inactive and make them your counselor. That's not smart. Read it again from the top.
Even so, you want me to start verse 15?
From the top.
Verse 15. Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing.
Read.
But inwardly they are ravening wolves.
Meaning on the outside, you're going to be fooled if you want to. If you want to be fooled, you can. For example, T.D. Jakes, Creflo Dollar, all of them, they look very nice. They got on suits. They got big, grand congregations. They even go across the world and spread the gospel. But inwardly, they are ravening wolves. Brother Taj, how would you know Creflo Dollar is not a true man of God if you're looking from the outside in? Because does he do work? Yes, he does work. Does he teach the people? Yes, he teaches the people. Does he spread the gospel to the four corners of the earth? Yes, he does. So how would somebody know if he's a true man of God or not?
Outwardly appearance, you can see like from the outside, he doesn't have on fringes, which is a law.
There you go.
The beard on the face that's another law. So you can see that from outward appearance.
There you go. So you would examine him by what?
By his outward appearance.
By what though?
By his works.
By his works? By the what? What are you measuring him up to?
By the laws.
By the laws of God. There you go. Absolutely correct. That's why all that stuff will fool the whole world. But if you're spiritual, give me 1 Corinthians 2 and 15. When you are spiritual, a spiritual man judges what? All things. All things. That's why people get mad at us in the streets when a brother or sister come up. Well, you're not listening to me. Sister, you got on pants. No, I'm not. You have no understanding. Brother want to tell you what to do in the Bible, but he's smoking. Brother, you have no understanding. And we can see that in a split second. That's how the Bible, that's how powerful the Bible is. It gives you the spirit of discernment and judgment. Read.
My bad. 1 Corinthians 2:15. But he that is spiritual.
But what?
But he that is spiritual.
He that is spiritual. Read.
Judgeth all things.
Does what?
Judgeth all things.
Judgeth all things. Meaning you can discern right from wrong. A lot of times when we read the word judge, we think that means, what's the word I'm looking for? Condemn. There you go. When we think judge, we think that means condemn. Those are two different things. Judging means you can make a judgment call. You can see whether it's good or bad. That's why they say you've been drinking. You got impaired judgment. You can't determine what's right from wrong. But when you're spiritual, you judge all things because you're seeing the world through the lenses of the Bible, through the laws, like Todd said. He said, well, yeah, I can see Creflo doing all that, but he don't have on fringes. He don't have it on a beard. His congregation is not keeping the commandments. Therefore, he is a false prophet. That's simple. You never have to meet him. Don't have to shake his hand. Don't have to do nothing. You can make that judgment call right from your chair. If you're reading the Bible. That's how powerful the Bible is. This book is powerful. So, what was we at? We went there to show you judgment.
Matthew 7.
Yeah, go back to Matthew 7.
Matthew chapter 7 verse 15.
Mm-hmm.
Beware of false prophets,
Mm-hmm.
which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves.
Uh-huh.
Ye shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns, or figs of thistles? Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit.
Every good tree bringeth forth good fruit. I went there because, like I said, if the person that's teaching you, if they're doing good things, that 9 times out of 10, they're good people. If they're doing bad things, that probably ain't the person you want to follow. It's a simple analogy. Read.
But a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit.
Right. You can't change who you are. You can't change who you are. Read.
A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit.
Uh-huh.
Neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit.
Uh-huh.
Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire.
Read.
Wherefore, by their fruits ye shall know them.
So by their fruits ye shall know them. You have works and you have speech. There's 2 ways you can teach. I can literally show you, and then I can be an example, or I can talk it out. Those 2 things have to match up. They have to match up. I'll give you an example. When I was in this truth, I had a counselor one time. He left the truth. It didn't bother me none. Because guess what? I took what he taught, which was the truth, which was the Bible. And when they left, goodbye. Because I have the understanding. I'm able to discern what's good and what's bad now. The Most High never put you in a situation where it's going to end up bad for you. And I'm talking about in reference to leaders being over you. Like I said, I've had 3 counselors that were in the body, that were over me. They leave for whatever situation. I didn't go anywhere. My understanding didn't leave me. Because the understanding is not man's, it's God's. Y'all understand that? When people leave, their understanding stays right here. The understanding stays here. If they leave and want to go off, that's fine. The understanding will never go anywhere. It stays with the Father. He gives you that. Go to Sirach chapter 39 and verse 1. So it says, know them by their fruits. What are going to be the fruits of a brother or sister that's applying the commandments and somebody that you can learn and glean something from? Let's see. What would that look like?
Sirach chapter 39 verse 1.
Uh-huh.
But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High,
Uh-huh.
and is occupied in the meditation thereof,
Uh-huh.
will seek out wisdom of all the ancients,
Uh-huh.
and be occupied in prophecies.
And be occupied in prophecies. Now, a lot of times we think, when we read the word prophecies, we thinking Revelation, we thinking the great dragon, we thinking all that. Y'all know Deuteronomy 28 is a prophecy, right? You notice us being taken on slave ships is a prophecy. When brothers and sisters understand that, you are a prophet or a prophetess. That is heavy prophecy. A lot of people don't understand that. So when we read this a lot of times, we think it's talking about something deeper than that. But that is a heavy level of understanding. So that's why when you come in, you got to learn that. You got to learn the curses. And one thing, if y'all watch Bishop, Bishop is arguably the greatest teacher on earth today. 9 times out of 10, his classes, he will reference back to Deuteronomy 28. He'll go through the Spanish Inquisition. It'll come back to Deuteronomy 28. He'll go through the Dark Ages. He'll come back to Deuteronomy 28. All the time, it'll come right back to that. So your basis, your foundation, when you're really at a high level of teaching, you'll realize you'll always go back to the beginning, which is us understanding who we are. Because that's the foundation for the whole book. When you really look at it, everything has to go back to Deuteronomy 28 because that's where we were born as a nation. That's when he gave us the commandment. He said, hey, I'll make you a blessed and high nation or I'll put curses on you. So if you learn that and truly examine that, everything else that happens in some way, it has to come back to that. Y'all get that? That makes sense? For example, when you build if you're a welder, not a welder, but if you do something with your hands, what do they call them? Mechanics. If you're a mechanic, the understanding of how to put on a screw and take off a screw, no matter how big the job is, you think you're gonna need those skills? Yeah. Whether you putting together a transmission, whether you changing the brakes, whether you changing the oil, that basic understanding of understanding how to take the screw on and put the screw off is going to be applied time and time and time and time again. Likewise, in the Bible, Deuteronomy 28 is going to come back over and over and over and over again. Because when you understand this Bible is only written to one nation of people, all of our history has to correlate with those curses that are written in there. Or the blessings. Like when you read in 1 Kings and the Chronicles, those blessings can correlate back to Deuteronomy 28 before verse 15. But it has to go back there because that's the basis. Getting back to here, that's why you got to be occupied in prophecies. Once you learn, once you get the understanding, you have to be occupied in the prophecies. How does this match up? Why did we run into Africa? Oh, because Deuteronomy 28 says we're going to be scattered. Okay. How do we end up in America? Deuteronomy 28 says that this or that was going to happen. It says we're going to be scattered in a land that is not ours. Okay. Why would we lose our names? Well, Deuteronomy 28:37 says we'll be a proverb and a byword. That's occupying yourself in prophecy. All right? Keep reading. Verse 2.
He will keep the sayings of the renowned men.
Right. He's going to keep the saying of renowned men. Read.
And where subtle parables are, he will be there also.
Right. When things are being brought out, you'll find yourself amongst great men. Like every year on the quest, Bishop bring out some heavy stuff. I wasn't able to make it a few of them, but last year I was able to make it. So I got some good understanding. I'll drop that later. All right. Read.
He will seek out the secrets of grave sentences and be conversant in dark parables.
Read.
He shall serve among great men.
No, read it again. Yeah, you read it right. Read it again.
He shall serve among great men.
That's another great sign of knowing if the brother or sister you're following is a godly man or a godly woman. When you reach a certain level of understanding or leadership period that people follow you, nobody leaves by themselves. Great leaders, you always have people around you. If you're following somebody and they're on the screen by themselves the whole time, all the time, that's probably not a great leader. They're probably a hypocrite. Because nobody wants to follow them. When you're a great leader, you want to teach others. You want to bring others into the understanding where you at. Y'all get that? Christ had all the wisdom on the face of the earth. He knew it all. What did he do? He chose 12 men. He said, hey, I'm going to teach y'all, and y'all going to teach others. Paul did the same thing. Moses did the same thing. So if you're watching, you want to know if this brother or sister that I should follow, what are they building? You should have something behind you, meaning you are building something. Wisdom, like I said, wisdom don't sit still. It's a builder. So we got to make sure we look at that. That's like Bishop. When Bishop teach class, do he get up there and teach by himself? No. He got his whole panel. He got all the deacons. If he ain't got deacons, then he bring the captains. If the captains ain't there, he put the officers up there. Nobody can do anything by themselves. When you think like that, you don't really have understanding. You don't really have wisdom. That's another sign. We're doing a class on that too. Keep reading. Keep reading verse 4.
And appear before princes He will travel through strange countries.
He will what?
He will travel through strange countries.
Wisdom will make you travel. Wisdom will make you travel. Why? Because you see things in a different light. Now you're saying, okay, I've done what I can do here. Now I need to go other places to spread the wisdom, to spread the understanding. Read.
For he hath tried the good and evil, and the evil among men.
Read.
He will give his heart to resort early to the Lord that made him, and will pray before the Most High, and will open his mouth in prayer and make supplication for his sins.
Read.
And when the great Lord will...
This is the key part. Remember I told you, nobody just gets understanding on their own. It comes from the Most High. The Most High gives it to men, and men share with each other. Read it again. When the great Lord will.
He shall be filled with the spirit of understanding.
You see that? When the great Lord will, he shall be filled with the spirit of understanding. Read.
He shall pour out wise sentences and give thanks unto the Lord in his prayer. He shall direct his counsel and knowledge, and in his secrets shall he meditate.
So understand, the understanding is coming from the Most High God. It's not coming from any one of us. The Most High gives it to you. You may remember it. But ultimately it's of the Most High. It says, when the great Lord will, his understanding shall be filled. Read.
He shall shew forth that which he hath learned.
Right. When you get understanding, and this is somebody you should follow, they're going to show forth what they have learned. That's why we say all the time, brothers that don't go to camp, talking about other camps, it's because the Spirit of God ain't in them. It's not there. Because when you have true understanding, you want to teach others. Nobody that has understanding sits in the house and does nothing. How do we know that? Even in a worldly sense. When you have these great multimillionaires and they're gurus and whatever they know, whether it's their life coaches, so on and so forth. What do they have? They have seminars where they teach people. And what do? They go all around the world and they teach people what they know. So you have the understanding of the Bible, but you don't teach anybody? You don't go to the streets and educate anyone? No, you're false. You don't really have the understanding of the words of God. Because if you did, you would go teach others. Read.
And shall glory in the law of the covenant of the Lord. Many shall commend his understanding.
What happened?
Many shall commend his understanding.
Many shall commend his understanding. Meaning your wisdom gets to a certain level where others acknowledge what you have learned. And say, you know what, you're right. You got a good understanding of this or of that. Read.
And so long as the world endureth, it shall not be blotted out. His memorial shall not depart away, and his name shall live from generation to generation.
And his name shall live from generation to generation. So we're showing you what you should look for in a brother or sister that you're trying to learn from. These are some of the attributes that you'll see. On the flip side, Sirach 4:27. What not to follow? Who not to follow? Sirach chapter 4 and verse 27.
Sirach chapter 4 verse 27.
And if you knew, I know we had a few people come in. The class is how to get understanding. So right now we're examining who to get the understanding from. Because we understand you have to learn from somebody else. It doesn't just descend upon you. Read that.
Make not thyself an underling to a foolish man.
Read it again.
Make not thyself an underling to a foolish man.
Don't make yourself a student to a strange man. Read.
Neither accept the person of the mighty.
So, when it says, make not thyself an underling to a foolish man. For example, Brother Taj came in, let's say another brother came in next week. And for some reason, you make yourself a student to somebody that came in after you. Would that make sense? No. You don't see that anywhere there. You do see that in the world sometimes because people have a demonstrative spirit where they're a bully and they make you follow them. And you may be weak-hearted or weak-minded and you end up following somebody that's lesser than yourself. But the Bible says don't do that. Don't make yourself an underling to a foolish man. I say this all the time. If you come in and you see the brother or sister that you're following get corrected every week, you probably should be following somebody else. That makes sense? Because what are you going to learn if they continue, not saying that they can't get corrected, but if it's happening week after week after week, or year after year after year, and you are this person's student, why would you do that? You're making yourself a underling to a foolish man. Jump to 25 and verse 8. Same book. Sirach 25 and verse 8.
Sirach chapter 25 and verse 8.
Uh-huh.
Well is him that dwelleth with a wife of understanding.
So the Bible says it's a good thing to dwell with a wife of understanding. Read.
And that hath not slipped with his tongue.
Uh-huh.
And that hath not served a man more unworthy than himself.
So it says it's a good thing to do these things. To not have served a man more unworthy than himself. But it's not in there if it didn't happen. So this is a warning. That's why you find somebody that has experience, so you don't find yourself doing the same thing in this truth. That's why we try to eliminate these things from happening. How? By setting you up with a counselor. But we see this a lot more so on the women's side than the men's side. If you a sister and your favorite counselor, let's say you got 3 kids, this sister don't have no kids, no job, she stay at home with her mom, and that's your counselor. Why would you let somebody like that counsel you and she's more unworthy than yourself? She doesn't have the experience that you have. She doesn't have the wisdom, the knowledge that you have. She hasn't been through those things. So you can't allow somebody like that to counsel you, if that makes sense. From there, go to Sirach 36 and verse 36. So it says, don't serve a man lesser than yourself. So there's a few examples of that. Let me give you a few examples of that. Sirach 36 and 36. And we're talking about from a spiritual aspect as well as in the world as well. I give you an example. Let's say, because I'm a captain, let's say I was counseling Officer Aaron. Officer Aaron's a multi-billionaire. But because I'm a captain, I say, hey, bro, you need to sell everything you got and buy a shack, bro. That wouldn't be. I'm gonna show you what the Bible says about that. Now, in that case, if he was to take the counsel that I gave him, he would be serving a man more unworthy than himself. Y'all understand that? Why? Because I'm not in the field that he's in. I don't understand half the things that he has in that field. That wouldn't be wise counsel. And I'm going to show you how that happens sometimes. Read that.
It goes to 26.
Yeah, 26. That's what I want.
Okay.
Sirach 36 and 26.
Sirach chapter 36, verse 26. Who will trust a thief well appointed, that skippeth from city to city? So who will believe a man that hath no house, and lodgeth wheresoever the night taketh him?
So it says, who will believe a man that hath no house? Now, obviously I wouldn't be of rank if I didn't have a house, but let's say I was talking to him, and I'm giving him counsel, and I'm telling him, hey bro, you shouldn't do this, shouldn't do that. This would be better to do, that would be better to do. Meanwhile, my house is in shambles. I don't have a job. I'm out of order. But I'm going to tell you, because you just showed up today, I'm going to tell you how to live your life. That makes sense? No. You know what you do? You listen, you take it in one ear and out the other. That's what you do. You be respectful, and you move on. Because you know what you need to do. Obviously, in a position that you're in, you keep it moving. Go to Sirach 37 and verse 7. Bishop always gives this example. There are brothers and sisters that are out there that counsel for themselves. They counsel for themselves, meaning what they want. Read that.
Sirach 37 and 7. Every counselor extolleth counsel,
Uh-huh.
but there is some that counseleth for himself.
There are some that counsel for themselves. Brother Jay, examine that for me. Bring that out for me. Let's see if you can explain that scripture. What does it mean there's some that counsel for themselves?
So, they counsel according to their life and the things that they're going through, and not necessarily the person that they're counseling?
Yes, you almost there. You almost there. You're missing one aspect of it. Let me see. Let me hear you.
I'd say the counsel that they're given is mostly like something for themselves, what they want the other person to do.
Say it so everybody can hear you, so the sisters can hear you as well.
Yeah, Shalom, Officer.
Hey,
Captain.
Shalom.
The counsel that they've been given is counseling that they want to do, but they give it for someone else to do.
I'm trying to. You saying it, but I don't know if you mean it the way I think you're saying it. You get what I'm saying? All right, let me hear somebody else. All right, let me hear Brother Taj. I think you said it, though. We'll see.
The counsel that they give themselves is going to be under what they want. Like, so it's not going to be, if I was to come to you, you're going to tell me the truth rather than me. I'm going to tell myself what I want to hear, basically, for the most part.
There you go. You get it. So I'll give you an example. Let's say this is the example that Bishop always gives. I'm single. You're married. You got a beautiful wife. I say, hey, bro, you and your wife, y'all going through a lot. Y'all probably should get a divorce. Just put it to the side, and that'll probably be better for you. You get the divorce next week. I'm married to your wife. That's a counselor that counselor for himself. Y'all understand that? Or, for example, you have business deals. All right? You have a business deal. Let's say me and you, we was talking about buying a truck. You was talking about buying that truck, and it was $5,000. Then you tell me about it. I'm like, dang, I want that truck. I say, hey, bro, that truck, I don't think it look at them tires, man. Yeah, it's a little rusty. I don't think that'd be a good truck for you to buy. Next week, I got the truck. That's a counselor that counsels for himself. Y'all understand that? So you got to be aware of that when you're getting counsel. That's why I said you have one counselor among 1,000. Read verse 8.
Beware of a counselor.
Beware of a counselor. Read.
And know before what need he has.
You see that? Know before what need he has. That's why you go to certain people for certain scenarios. I don't counsel with everybody about everything. Read.
For he will counsel for himself.
For what?
For he will counsel for himself. Lest he cast the lot upon thee.
So it says he will counsel for himself. For example, a brother has no house. You so happen to have 3-4 houses. So when he's talking with you, he's going to put it in his ear for you to be lenient to get a house and so on and so forth. I'm just using examples. Y'all get what I'm saying, though? You got to know who you're talking with. Know who you're dealing with when you're getting counsel on certain matters. That's why you don't just open your mouth before anybody. So those were some examples of who not to get understanding from. Ezekiel 22 and 25. Ezekiel chapter 22 and verse 25. Y'all following along? Everybody following along? Good. Ezekiel 22 and 25.
Ezekiel 22:25. There is a conspiracy of her prophets in the midst thereof. Like a roaring lion ravening the prey.
Like a roaring lion ravening the prey. Read.
They have devoured souls. They have taken the treasures and precious things. They have made her many widows in the midst thereof.
Read.
Her priests have violated my law.
So, this is a key aspect of knowing who you should follow and who you shouldn't. Brother Taj already said it. He said, I can look at Creflo Dollar and see that he is not applying the commandments of God. Read it again. Her priests
have violated my law.
They have violated the law. Read.
And have profaned my holy things. They have put no difference between the holy and profane. Neither have they shewed a difference between unclean and the clean. They have hid their eyes from my Sabbaths, and I am profaned among them.
So the number one way to see if this is a brother or sister who should who you should follow and gain understanding from, is if they are applying the commandments. Do they profane the law? Do they separate the clean from the unclean? Do they hide their eyes from the Sabbaths? Those are basic levels of understanding. We all get that here. But guess what? In the world, they don't look at those aspects of if this is a person that I should follow or not. If they did, millions of people would not be following Christianity. Or billions, I'm sorry. Billions wouldn't be following Christianity because they hide their eyes from the Sabbath. They don't profane, they profane the Sabbath. They don't separate the good from the evil. You had a question?
Yes. Would Malachi 2:7 go with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, we'll go with that. Matter of fact, let's get that. Malachi 2:7. Malachi chapter 2 and verse 7.
Malachi chapter 2 and verse 7. For the priest's lips should keep knowledge.
For what?
For the priest's lips should keep knowledge.
So the Bible says that the priest's lips should keep knowledge. Read.
And they should seek the law at his mouth.
And what?
And they should seek the law at his mouth.
How many of y'all was up in the Christian church? Oh, y'all scared to raise y'all hands, huh? Alright, good. How many of y'all ever went to your pastor and asked them about the laws? How to keep a feast day? How to what's another law? Basic law. How about how to keep the Sabbath? You ever asked them that? No? What is the law? Hey, Eli, you had your hand up. What you asked your pastor? I want to hear. I want to hear about this experience. You're the one lone man that asked him about a law.
Right, so I grew up, my family's a Jehovah's Witness.
Okay, y'all actually read the Bible a little bit.
Right, and I was asking them, I went up to Esau, this Edomite.
Ah, damn.
Right. And I said, is 144,000 selected?
Uh-huh.
Because they wasn't teaching Sabbath, anything like that.
Right.
But I read, the 144,000 that's going to be selected in the end times.
Right.
So I was like, so they was like, yeah, they already selected. So I said, why the world ain't ended?
Right. There you go. You can see that in the book.
Yes.
And what they said, they had no answer.
He was confounded. He said there's certain things that we don't understand. And I kept doing my research, and on praise to the Most High, I walked away.
All praises.
Yes, sir.
So the Most High descended upon you.
Yes, sir.
He beat the curse. All praises. So that's a way. If your conversation with your pastor or your leader never ever gets to the laws of God, something's wrong there. At some point, you're going to have a question about how to do this or how to do that. For example, I got to answer the questions on the social media. We got hundreds of people asking, "Hey, how do you keep tabernacles? Can I keep it in my house? Do I have to go outside, do this?" Because they're going to the priest to get the understanding of the law. That's what y'all are learning right now. You got to learn these laws so you can teach others. Because at the end of the day, which I'm going to hit on in our later class, all our days go back to our God. So we are just helping our people get back to a closer relationship with God. That's what we are doing by teaching them the laws of God. You sisters, by being the example, we're getting our people back to the laws of God. We're building that relationship back. All right? What was we at? Ezekiel, finish that verse 27.
Ezekiel chapter 22 and 27.
Mm-hmm.
Her princes in the midst thereof are like wolves, ravening the prey, to shed blood and to destroy souls, to get dishonest gain.
To do what?
To get dishonest gain.
To get dishonest gain. Dishonest gain. I was hitting on this with the brothers the other day. When you read the scriptures, the leaders of the churches, they are supposed to be taken care of by the body. When you read that in 1 Corinthians, Paul went into that heavily. But what happens in Christianity, they take those scriptures way out of context. To the point now where the whole basis of brothers and sisters joining the ministry is for money. Y'all understand that? That was never what it was set up for. That's never what it was set up for. It was to do the work of the Lord. For example, Paul. When Paul was traveling, he still had a job. Him and Barnabas, they had jobs. But sometimes if you're gone for months at a time and you're there to handle the issues, like we read about in 1 Corinthians, you read about in Galatians, you read about in all these books, and you're not able to work, they were supposed to be taken care of. That's not dishonest gain. Your hands are laboring in the body. Y'all understand that? We're going to read that in 1 Corinthians 9. We're going to read it a little later. But the dishonest gain is where your house is paid for, your car is paid for, and you still need $80 million. Like what you need $80 million for, bro? You got no bills. You got no bills. That's dishonest gain. And meanwhile, the people in the congregation have nothing. All right? From there, go to 1 Timothy 3. 1 Timothy chapter 3. This is the basic guidelines of leadership. These are the aspects that you must look at and examine whenever you want to become a leader or you're examining a leader. These are the things that you've graded on. All right, read that.
1 Timothy chapter 3 and verse 1. This is a true saying. If a man desire the office of a bishop, he desireth a good work.
Right. If you want to be a leader in Israel, you're desiring a good work. Read.
A bishop then must be blameless.
You must be blameless.
The husband of one wife.
The what?
The husband of one wife.
Right. The husband of one wife.
Vigilant.
Sober. Can't be a drunkard.
Of good behavior.
Of good general behavior. That's why he put it like that. Of good behavior. Meaning you don't have a report of being covetous, of being a hater, of being malicious, of being in drama all the time. You have a good report. Good behavior. Read.
Given to hospitality. Apt to teach. Not given to wine. No striker. Not greedy of filthy lucre.
Read.
But patient.
But what?
But patient.
Patient. Read.
Not a brawler. Not covetous. One that ruleth well his own house, having his children in subjection with all gravity.
So these attributes that we read right here, if you're looking and you want to learn who to get the understanding from, they have to measure up in this section of the Bible. They have to. Not saying they're going to be perfect in every one of these, but they have to have these character traits. If not, the Most High ain't going to give them understanding. Or they might have the understanding, but they're not applying it. You don't want to learn from that type of person either. From there, go to Philippians chapter 2 and verse 12. So now you found somebody to follow. They're teaching you. That's great. Does that mean you got your road paved to the kingdom? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Once you are taught and you have the understanding, that's a lot of times the Most High take those teachers away from you. Because now he wants to see, what are you going to do? What are you going to do now that you got this understanding? And we got to use this example because it's a real life example. Bishop he was in 3 different schools. It got to the point where all of them fell. He was by himself. And when he went to the streets by himself and started building up what is now I.U.I.C. That's what you do when you have the understanding. That's why he's telling now, all right, hey, go out 2 by 2. Because the understanding of God, when you truly understand the Bible, it's a book of unity. It's all about gathering our people back together. That's what the whole book is about. So, what was we going? Philippians 2. So when you have that understanding, it's on you of what you do with it. You're not dependent on anybody else. Once you found that teacher, you get the understanding of the Bible, now it's on you to recreate the same thing of how you got the understanding. All right, read that.
Philippians chapter 2 and verse 12. Wherefore, my beloved, as ye have always obeyed, not as in my presence only.
Not in my presence only.
But now much more in my absence.
But now much more in my absence. Read.
Work out your own salvation.
Do what?
Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling.
You see that? You got to be able to work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. Was that it on that? So, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. Meaning what? Now you have the basis understanding of the Bible. You know how to keep the Sabbath day. Now what you going to do? You know you're not supposed to be wearing pants. Now what you going to do? You know you ain't supposed to work on the Sabbath. You know you're supposed to sleep in the tent. You know you're supposed to do this, do that. What are you going to do now? That's what Paul was saying. Paul said, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. I don't have to come to Thessalonica every week to teach y'all. I don't have to come to Ephesus every week to teach y'all. I've taught you. Now what are you going to do? Are you going to apply what I taught you? Are you just going to regurgitate and not do it? What are you going to do? It's time for you to seek out your own salvation with fear and trembling. 2 Timothy 2 and 15. 2 Timothy 2 and verse 15.
2 Timothy chapter 2 verse 15.
Study
to show thyself approved.
Do what?
Study to show thyself approved. Unto God a workman needed not to be ashamed.
So the Bible says study to show yourself approved. A lot of people, we just get the understanding and we just sit on it. But once you continue to study, you'll add precepts to what you had before because you're studying. But you're not doing it for yourself. You're doing it to show yourself approved unto God. Because God sees when you're studying or not. I remember when I first came in the first couple of years. Every time I had a question, no lie. When I would tune into class that night, my question get answered without me even have to ask. That's what happens when you're truly looking. When you're truly searching, you're like, dang, studying, can't find the precept. You're like, I ain't going to call Cap right now. I'm going to wait. I'm going to watch class. You watch class, bam, there go your answer. That's the way it works. Because you have to truly be searching for the answer. He'll give you the answer. Because the answer out there. The answer is there. It's a matter of not if you're truly studying the Bible. Hey, Officer Aaron, you can add a precept sometime today, man. Great day. This brother up here just looking cool. All right? Go to Proverbs 15 and 28. Proverbs 15 and 28. So study to show thyself approved unto God. It's one of my favorite scriptures. Proverbs 15 and 28.
Proverbs 15 and 28.
Uh-huh.
The heart of the righteous studieth to answer.
The what?
The heart of the righteous studieth to answer.
The heart of the righteous. If you truly love the Lord, you're going to study to answer. I think one of the greatest compliments for you brothers as a teacher, you want somebody to say to you, stop using the Bible. That's what you want. When I teach, I want you to tell me to stop using the Bible. Because I study to answer your question with a biblical answer. Because it's in there some way, some shape, or form. So, read it again.
The heart of the righteous studieth to answer.
Read.
But the mouth of the wicked poureth out evil things.
But on the flip side, the mouth of the wicked poureth out evil things. What does that mean? That means you're just going to ramble. You're going to talk. Why? Because you don't have an answer for your people. You really don't know the scriptures. That's why when you watch other camps, they out there talking, cussing, screaming, calling women all types of names. It's because they really don't have an answer for the question that's posed for them. If they did, they would say, hey, give me this, give me that, and they'll answer the question. Well, they didn't study. Therefore, they resort to what they know, which is evil. All right, so the heart of the righteous studieth to answer. From there, go to 1 Peter 4 and 11. What do you answer them with? What do you answer them with once you get the understanding of the scriptures?
1 Peter chapter 4, verse 11. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of God.
Read it again.
If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of God.
If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of God. Read.
If any man minister, let him do it as the ability which God giveth.
So, what it's saying is, if you're going to answer a question, use the Bible and do it within the ability that was given unto you, within the understanding that was given unto you. Yes, sir.
Yeah, got a question on that. Yeah. So you were saying if in the first scripture that we was reading,
Which one?
in Proverbs 15
Right.
and 28,
Right.
where it said, when you study to teach.
Mhm.
And you were saying that we should be able to can do that without the Bible.
Right.
Right? Because that was my understanding also. So with that being said, like for instance, let me go to Deuteronomy 22 and 5.
Right.
Like if a woman approached me and asked me, hey, why you do not let your wife wear pants? But I don't have my Bible with me. I could just quote.
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay, got you.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
I
yeah.
understand.
Yep.
And that would be the same thing as you're speaking as the oracles of God.
Right. Absolutely.
All right, thanks.
Yep. Because you might not have it at that moment, but you're paraphrasing it for the moment. Because they can always go back and reference what you said. That's why I always say, hey, go to Deuteronomy 22 and 5. It says this. You may not say it exactly correct, but they can have something to reference. You understand? Because go to Romans 3 and 4. You have to reference the Bible because your words, my words, they mean absolutely nothing. Romans 3 and 4.
Romans 3 verse 4.
Mm-hmm.
God forbid, yea, let God be true.
Let what?
Let God be true.
Uh-huh.
But every man a liar.
Every man is a liar. It says, let God be true. That's why when we teach you men how to deal with certain situations, you go to the Bible. Our words mean nothing. Let God be true and every man a liar. Read. Is that it?
But as it is written, that thou mightest be justified.
That what?
That thou mightest be justified in thy saying.
You see that? That you justified in your saying. That's why you may not be able to say it all the way, but you're like, hey, Deuteronomy 22 and 5, it says woman can't wear pants. Now you're justified in your sayings. You understand what I'm saying? Because if not, you can't justify yourself. Your word doesn't validate anything. But if you have a scripture to reference it upon, then it's good. Because all of our thoughts, they mean nothing. Our thoughts are not God's thoughts. His ways are not our ways. Thus saith the Lord. Isaiah 55 and 8. Let's get that. We have to use the Bible. We have to use the Bible. We have to use the Bible. Because if not, if we don't use the Bible, we're going to end up in Christianity. Right? Y'all want to go back to Christianity? I don't. I ain't trying to go back there. I ain't trying to go back to Christianity.
Isaiah chapter 55 and verse 8.
Uh-huh.
For my thoughts are not your thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
neither are your ways my ways, saith the Lord.
You see that? So when we go on our own thoughts, in our own line and thought of training, it ain't going to line up with what the Most High God wants. So we have to study to use the scriptures. We have to study the Bible to answer questions. Because if you don't, you leave room for error. And your sayings are not justified, thus saith the Lord. From there, go to Psalms 111 and 10. Psalms chapter 111 and verse 10. How to get understanding of the Bible.
Psalms chapter 111 and verse 10.
Mm-hmm.
The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom.
The what?
The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom.
So the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. That's how it starts. Read.
A good understanding.
A what?
A good understanding.
A good understanding. Read.
Have all they that do his commandments.
That what?
That do his commandments.
That do his commandments. And within his commandments, you're going to gather yourself around brothers and sisters that know the Bible. Because it's a commandment to keep the Sabbath. It's a commandment to keep the new moon. It's a commandment to keep Feast of Tabernacles. It's a commandment to keep Pentecost. It's a commandment to keep Passover. So if you're doing that, your understanding is going to grow. Not only that, but you're going to have order in which you are doing it. Because go to 1 Corinthians 14 and 40, real quick. Within you gathering yourself together, you're going to have order and instruction within that. And you're going to gain understanding.
1 Corinthians chapter 14 verse 40.
Uh-huh.
Let all things be done decently and in order.
Let what?
Let all things be done decently and in order.
So if all things are done decently in order, you're going to apply what you've been learned. You're going to have a counselor. You're going to have a big sister. You're going to learn the commandments. You're going to keep the commandments. And then your understanding is going to grow. Go back to Psalms 111 and 10.
Psalms chapter 111 and verse 10.
Mm-hmm.
The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom.
The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Read.
And a good understanding.
And what?
And a good understanding.
A good understanding. Read.
Have all they that do his commandments.
You see that? You get a good understanding when you're keeping the commandments. Why do you get a good understanding when you're keeping the commandments? Because guess what you're doing? For you to learn the commandments, what you got to do? Study, but you got to do what? You got to apply, but what you got to do? Start even basic than that. For you to know, thou shalt not kill. What you got to? How do you find that out? Read. There you go. You hit it on the head. You start reading the Bible, and guess what? The more you read, the more you know. The more you read, the more you see. You start keeping more and more commandments, and then your understanding grows. Y'all get that? It's just like in math. Just think about math. Once you learn short division, then you want to learn what? Long division. Once you learn long division, I don't know what you learn next. But you keep going. I ain't a math teacher. I'm a PE teacher. But you keep going. Then you get to this what they call it? What they call the things? What they call the things that you use to solve problems, man? Yes. You get to different equations, and then you learn. What'd you say? No, didn't say calculator. Did not say calculator. I'm trying to think. Not equation. It's another word I'm looking for. Formulas. That's what it was. Formulas. Then you get certain formulas that you learn. It breaks down everything. You like, I use this formula to do this, to do that. Huh?
PEMDAS?
Yep, PEMDAS. That's an example. And then you learn the order of operations. And it goes on and on and on. You keep going. But it doesn't start unless you start reading and applying. Because math, the reason why Chinese people good at math, because their parents make them do it over and over again. Math is repetition. That's why Chinese people good at math. Their parents make them do it over and over and over and over again. And once you get the formula down, you'll never be wrong. Numbers don't lie. So once I learned, every time, 2 times 2 ain't gonna never change. 9 times 9 ain't gonna never change. So they learn the formulas down, and it's over with. Chinese man be good. Moab, they get it in. But likewise, once you learn the commandments ain't gonna change. They already changed once when Christ came. But after that, once you get that understanding, it's over with. That's why once we teach our children how to keep the commandments, keep tabernacles, how to keep Passover, how to keep the Sabbath day, it ain't gonna change. Now you can start learning other stuff. Now you can learn all 10 of them. Then you can learn the laws, the sacrificial laws. Then you learn ceremonial laws. Then you learn the moral laws, so on and so forth. But the more you read, the more you gain understanding. Stuff makes sense. You have something?
Yes, sir.
This is also Aaron, if y'all didn't know. He'll be joining us for the rest of the class.
Hey, all praise. Let's get Sirach chapter 33 real quick. Because what you just said was heavy. And I actually used to be a math teacher, and I never thought about it like that. But when you think about math is what? It's full of problems. It's problem solving. It's the same thing for our lives. What's the problem solver in our lives? It's the Bible. It's the laws of the Bible. Because a lot of times we take for granted brothers having a wife. Now you ain't got to worry about being a baby daddy. That's a problem that, brothers out in the world. Don't mess around on your wife. Don't commit adultery. That's a law. Now you ain't got to worry about catching AIDS, syphilis, herpes, so on and so forth. So the Bible is the problem solver. Read that, 33:1.
Sirach chapter 33 and verse 1. Mm-hmm. There shall no evil happen unto him that feareth the Lord.
So when you keep in the laws of God, guess what? No evil is going to come unto you. It's not going to happen like that. As in things that are premeditated. You put yourself in a certain position. Now, just like the scriptures say in Sirach, when you come to serve the Lord, temptation is going to come. But nothing that you put on yourself. Read on.
But in the temptation, even again, he will deliver him.
So the Lord is going to make a way through the wisdom, through the law, for you to overcome the temptation. Now jump to verse 3.
verse 3.
Uh-huh.
A man of understanding.
A man of what?
Of understanding.
So a man of understanding, the understanding that you gain is through the Bible, through the law, applying the commandments. Read.
Trusted in the law.
Doing what?
Trusted in the law.
Read.
And the law is faithful unto him.
That's all I wanted. The law is faithful unto him. Going back to what Cap said, the law of God ain't gonna never fail you. Just like the formula, you find the perfect formula for the perfect problem, you always gonna get the right answer no matter what. That's what the Bible is to us.
Heavy precept. The law would not fail him. That's true. That's very true. Very, very true. What was we at?
Psalms 111 and 10.
Psalms 111 10. All right, go to Sirach 37 and 19. So on the flip side, we know we get understanding by applying the laws of God. That's how you get understanding. On the flip, on the contrary, read that.
Sirach chapter 37 and 19.
Mm-hmm.
There is one that is wise.
There is one that is wise. This is a brother that has good memory, that knows everything. Read.
And teacheth many.
And you teach many people. Read.
And yet is unprofitable to himself.
And what?
And yet is unprofitable to himself.
Somebody explain that to me. How does that happen? Brother Taj. How does that happen? How are you wise and you teach many but you're unprofitable to yourself? How does that happen?
He's not applying anything that he's teaching.
There you go. To him, this is just a math book. I just learned the equation. Yeah, I can solve problems. But then when it's time to lay tile, you don't even apply the formulas. You don't apply the Pythagorean theorem. You don't apply the law of gravity. You don't apply all these things to solve real life problems. Because to you, it was just something you just did. I just know this stuff. But it's like, bro, why you don't use it for nothing? I don't really need to. I just like precepts. A little 1 John 5 and 3. Ecclesiastes 2 and 2. I can spit them all day. I can't get my wife out of these pants though, but she gonna be alright. We see that happen. I've seen it happen. Alright? Read it again, Sirach 37:19.
There is one that is wise and teacheth many. And yet is unprofitable to himself.
Right. Don't let that be you. Don't let that be you. One that is wise and teaches many, yet unprofitable to himself. Go to Sirach 19:24 real quick. Sirach chapter 19 and verse 24. And what Bishop says is so true. He said all the time. He's like, precept brothers. He's like, that stuff don't amaze me no more. It don't. It really don't. And I ain't know what in the bishop, I ain't saying, but it don't do anything because I've seen brothers that know 1,000,000 scriptures and leave over the smallest stuff. And I'm telling you, if you're in this truth and you're not busy, it's like, I don't get how you can know all that stuff anymore. You can't remember every single preach. There's so much stuff to do. I keep my understanding because my hand is on the plow. That's how I remember the scriptures. I can't literally sit down and just read and study like I used to. No, there's stuff to do. It's like, Aaron, I've been asking you all week, hey, when you going to do this, when you going to do that? You're like, bro, I'm busy. I'm like, and I get it. Now, 5 years ago, we weren't doing as much as we're doing now. Yeah, you can have a lot of precept kings. But it's like if you of rank and you're not doing stuff, something is wrong. There's too much to be done for you not to have your hand to the plow. Too much. Read that.
Sirach chapter 19 and 24. He that has small understanding.
He that has small understanding. Read.
And feareth God is better than one that hath much wisdom and transgresseth the law of the Most High.
You see that? It's better for you to have a small level of understanding and keep those commandments than to have great understanding and you don't do anything the Bible says. Because at the end of the day, you're not saving your own soul. You're not going to get into the kingdom based on what you know. It's going to be based on what you do. What are you doing? What are you doing with the understanding that was given unto you? It's like the parable in Matthew 25. I think it's 25, right? Where he says, gave you talents. All right. He's going to give all of us talents. What you do with it, that's up to you. That's up to you. Are you going to multiply them talents or are you going to decrease? All right? Sirach chapter, not Sirach, 1 Corinthians 9:27. So going back to Sirach 37 and 19, what it says, there's one that is wise and teacheth many, and yet is unprofitable to himself. This is the precept in the New Testament.
1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 27.
Uh-huh.
But I keep under my body and bring it into subjection.
So Paul said he kept his body into subjection. Into subjection of what? Of God's laws. Read.
Lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway.
Read it again. The last part. Lest I become. I myself.
I myself should be a castaway.
That I myself should be a castaway. So Paul always kept it in the back of his mind, like, hey, I'm not running this race to be thrown out. I'm going to finish this thing. I'm going to make sure I apply what I'm teaching. He was always cognizant of his shortcomings and what he was dealing with. He wanted to make sure that he was right. A lot of times, brothers and sisters act like they don't know what's wrong. We have to always be acknowledging our shortcomings and keep it in the forefront of your mind, not in the back. So that way you always working on how can I be better at this or at that. So that way you don't become a castaway. You don't want to be the brother that know a million scriptures, but every week you getting corrected. Every week your brother's complaining about you. And everybody sees it except for you. If it's 100 people seeing the same thing, and you're the only person seeing it a different way, hey, you may be Christ. You may be Christ. But 9 times out of 10, you're not. You're just wrong. Let's prove it to you. Let's go to Sirach. Sirach chapter 37 again. It's a good chapter. 37 and verse 14.
Sirach 37 and 14. For a man's mind is sometimes wont to tell him more than 7 watchmen that sit above in a high tower.
So it says, for a man's mind is sometimes wont to tell him more than 7 watchmen that sit above in a high tower. What does that mean? That means 7 people will be telling you, hey, bruh, sis, you wrong. And you say, nah, y'all just don't know the situation. You know what I'm saying? If I told you exactly what was going on, I don't want to tell you everything. But if I told you everything, then you would see it my way. Nah, you're wrong. But our people, Israel, we don't like that. We don't like that. We got to be able to see our own faults. Take the low sometimes. Even if you think you're right, take the low. Like, hey, all right, everybody's saying it. All right, I must be wrong then. I'm going to take the low, and we'll see. And you're going to have to do that at some point. You're going to have to do that. From there, go to Sirach 10 and 21. Sirach chapter 10 and verse 21. Dealing with that hypocrite spirit.
Sirach chapter 10 and verse 21. The fear of the Lord goeth before the obtaining of authority.
The what?
The fear of the Lord goes before the obtaining of authority.
So the obtaining of authority is pretty much rank. Before you gain rank or authority, you must fear the Most High God. That's why a lot of times when you see brothers that know all these scriptures, they're in the same spot. Those be the same brothers that be like, hey, why ain't you getting raised up? Or asking for a test. Because yes, you can pass the test, but you spiritually ain't right. This thing ain't about what you know. I keep telling you that. It ain't about what you know. It's about what you apply. How much of what you know do you actually apply? That is the question. Read it again from the top.
The fear of the Lord goes before the obtaining of authority. But roughness and pride is the losing thereof.
But roughness and pride is the losing. That's how you lose your authority. That's how you lose a position. Why? Because pride. What does knowledge do? Who knows what knowledge does? What does the Bible say knowledge does? Right? No, on a negative connotation. What does knowledge do? Y'all saying it, but I want another word, another P word. Knowledge puffeth up. Give me that. Gideon, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Y'all Kansas City boys, man. Y'all popped up quick. It's a lot of y'all. All y'all look like Zeph. Thought that was your daddy. That's your brother. So knowledge puffeth up. When you come into this truth, it's a powerful and it's a dangerous thing. That's why y'all brothers should be very, very thankful. Go ahead, yes, sir. Y'all should be very, very thankful that you in IUIC, because most of us dealt with, it's 1 Corinthians 8:1. Most of us dealt with coming into the truth and gaining that knowledge and how to deal with your family. I wish I was with IUIC when I came to the truth, because I wouldn't have dealt with it the way I did. I gained all what I thought was understanding, which was all conspiracy theories and FEMA camps and all that stuff. And I scheduled a big meeting, all my family, and I was ready to chop them up. And I knew about 2 scriptures. So we get to the meeting, like, yeah, the world coming to an end, this, that. I didn't have no scriptures. Literally, I had a notebook of conspiracy theories and my thoughts and my feelings. And now that I got the understanding, I'm like, hey, I can't schedule a meeting no more, because I'm crazy now to them. Even though that happened years ago, it's not valid. Now I'm building myself back up, you know. I'm doing the right thing. I'm an honorable citizen of society. You know, I work, got a job, got a family. But in their mind, I'm still the 18-year-old that wanted to flee the country, that this and that. That's all they see. So you have to deal with those situations with wisdom, because you only get a first impression once. You understand what I'm saying? So deal with it with wisdom, use it wisely. Yes, sir?
Yes, sir. On the flip side, what happened with me? I came in from IUIC, so I started learning. I had a zeal, but I lacked the wisdom. Right. I'm telling my family, I'm telling my sisters, my mama, everybody, hey, you don't take the pens or you going to hell. I'm condemning everybody, and that's something that a lot of us do when we're young. We might have that spirit, but this is why the scripture says in Matthew, I send you forth as sheep among wolves, to be wise as serpents, harmless as doves. It's a way to deal with things in a certain way. So keep that in mind as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Why did I go there? Why did I use that example? Where was we going? Oh, yeah, Sirach 10:1. 10 and 21. Where was we at? Was that where we're going? Oh, puffed up. Yeah. Because we're going into pride. It said pride and roughness is the losing thereof. Going into Sirach 10 and 21. And we see that all the time. Brothers in cities by themselves, they get puffed up because they the smartest guy in town, because you the only one there. Instead of not realizing that every week you watching the bishop, you didn't get this understanding. The deacons and they taught you what you know. Every precept you know, you got it from somebody else. Yeah, you might bring it out, you remember it, but it ain't yours. The Most High is at the end of the day, but somebody taught you. Now you think that's you. You think you all that. That's not the case. Read that.
1 Corinthians 8:1. Now as touching things offered unto idols, we know that we all have knowledge. Knowledge puffeth up.
What happens?
Knowledge puffeth up.
Knowledge puffs you up. Read.
But charity edifies.
But charity, you having goodwill towards your neighbor, you applying the scriptures, that is edifying to people. You may think you knowing a million scriptures is edifying, but you actually applying it is a lot more. All right. So from there, go to Isaiah 28 and verse 9. So now let's get into it. What should we be learning? How do we get the understanding of the Bible? Isaiah 28 and verse 9.
Isaiah chapter 28 and verse 9. Whom shall he teach knowledge?
Whom shall God teach knowledge? Read.
And whom shall he make to understand doctrine?
You see that? God has to make you understand knowledge and doctrine. He has to literally give you that understanding. Read.
Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast. For precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line. Here a little and there a little.
So you have to begin with the basics. You have to begin with the basics. I remember when we first came in, I never used to ask the deep questions. I was like, it'd either be brought out later, but it really didn't matter to me. Because all I want to do is teach at camp. I wanted to make sure I can answer questions at camp. And if you're sincere, you understand. Let me ask one of these officers. Hey, any of y'all ever got asked about revelations at camp? No, Abel, I don't want to ask Abel. Abel will have an experience. All right?
Captain of the car got mad at me because I came to him like, yeah, he asked about Revelation. He said, damn it. And because he waited till he was on the light. He told me to leave.
Oh, you came up to ask him?
I was the dude that was with me.
Oh, okay, I got you.
He told me to leave because he was mad and said, why you let him come up here with some Revelation?
There you go. So 9 times out of 10, you're going to get basic questions at camp. So you need to learn the basics. Understanding if your heart is in this thing to grant repentance unto your people, you're going to study those scriptures that they need. You're going to study the laws of God. That is how we're going to change people. If we didn't know how to go out there and teach the Sabbath, we can't bring the people into the body. If you don't know how to teach the feast days, they can't keep them. If you don't know how to teach marriage, the basic standards and tenets of marriage, we can't help brothers and sisters build up their marriages. So on and so forth. Those are the things that you need to study and build yourself up on. Because that's what really creates change in our communities. Go to Hebrews 5 and 12. Hebrews chapter 5 and verse 12. So it says, whom shall he teach knowledge? Whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Those that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast. Meaning they studied and applied the correct way. They got the basics of the scriptures. They have a solid foundation. They're not vainglorious in their understanding and in their seek for wisdom. Read that.
Hebrews chapter 5 verse 12. For when the time ye ought to be teachers, ye have need that one teach you again.
Read.
Which be the first principles of the oracles of God. And are become such as have need for milk.
Have need of milk. Read.
Have need of milk and not of strong meat.
You have need of milk and not of strong meat. Meaning you need the basics. You need to learn how to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. Because if you don't keep it right, what are you in the midst of? Which is what? Sin. So guess what? It would be wise as a leader, as an instructor, to know the law of tabernacles. How to keep it. If the people don't know how to keep the Sabbath day, we're going to remain in sin. So it'd be wise for you to know the Sabbath. If the people don't know about fringes, they're going to remain in sin. So it'd be wise for you to learn fringes. Learn the beard. That's why we go over the welcome home pack. Everything we have set up is to teach our people the laws of God. If the basis of your belief is anything other than the laws, you're not really about change for your people. Because the reason why we're in captivity is because we broke the laws. How do we flip that? We keep them, right? So for the people to keep the laws, somebody has to teach the laws. So we need to know them. That's why we get mad at brothers when they ask deep questions and then hey, teach me how to keep the Sabbath day. And you don't know. That's a huge, major problem. That's a red flag. All right? Keep reading.
Verse 13. For everyone that useth milk is unskillful in the word of righteousness.
Read.
For he is a babe. But strong meat belongeth to them that are of full age. Even those who by reason of use of their senses exercise to discern both good and evil.
Right. To discern both good and evil. How do they gain that? From experience. Mark 4 and 14. We almost done. Mark chapter 4 and verse 14.
Mark chapter 4 and verse 14.
So if you build your foundation in the laws of God, you'll be good to go. Anything can come and you'll be fine. Because you know where you need to rest at. You need to rest in the scriptures. Read that.
The sower soweth the word. And these are they by the wayside, where the word was sown. But when they have heard, Satan cometh immediately, and taketh away the word that was sown in their hearts.
So, the sower soweth the word, It says, and these by the wayside where the word is sown, but when they have heard, Satan cometh immediately and taketh away the word that was sown in their heart. So if you don't come in and learn the basics of the Bible, you allow somebody to come in and take away the understanding that you have. If you don't truly learn and understand that we are the Israelites. If you never truly learned Deuteronomy 28, somebody can come in and say, hey, all those curses already been fulfilled. Yeah, all that's, the Israelites were already scattered. That already happened. And you'll be like, huh? Like, dang, that has already been fulfilled. Not knowing that, even within the scriptures, it's been fulfilled many of times. Go to Job 11 and 6 real quick, because some of y'all are like, what? It was fulfilled already? Yes. And it's going to continue to be fulfilling. Read that. Job 11 and 6.
Job chapter 11 verse 6.
And
that he would show thee the secrets of wisdom.
The what?
The secrets of wisdom.
Because see, people in the world, they don't understand there's levels to this. That's a secret, that the curses can happen time and time again. They think they shutting you down when you do that. That's only validating the Bible. Read it again.
And that he would show thee the secrets of wisdom. That they are double.
That what?
That they are double to that which it is.
They are double to that which it is. Meaning what? The scriptures are double. Meaning they happen over and over. You think the first time we lost our name was in America? No. That wasn't the first time we lost our name. We lost our name during the Babylonian captivity. We lost our name during the Grecian captivity. We lost our name during the Roman captivity. All these captivities we lost our name. So Deuteronomy 28 and 37 happened time and time again. Us being in chains, that didn't just happen here in America. That happened before. They took Zedekiah's eyes out and put him in chains and carried him to Babylon. These things happen over and over and over. All right. Finish that, Mark 4. Is that 15? Yeah, read 16 to 17.
Mark chapter 4 verse 16. And these are they likewise which are sown on stony ground.
On what?
On stony ground.
Read.
Who when they have heard the word immediately received it with gladness.
You see that? A lot of y'all received it with gladness. You be excited about this truth. Read.
And have no root in themselves.
But what?
And have no root in themselves.
But you have no root. You never built yourself up in the truth. You never settled down and really studied and understood how we the Israelites, how the laws of God still stand. How do I know Jesus Christ is a black man? What proof is there? Nope. You were just excited. You just smiling. What they call it in the world, they call you a dumb blonde. That's you receiving the word with joy and having no root. You just excited. You just smile. You in the spirit, but you don't have no substance. You don't have no substance. You just excited to be here. Read.
And so endure but for a time.
And you only endure for a time. You might be here a year, 2 years, 3 years, a few months, but you never learn. So the second that first trial come, you like, man, I'm out. They did me wrong, this, that. Like, hey, the scripture says, prepare your soul for temptation. Nah, they wrong. Okay. All right. Whatever. Next.
Afterwards, when affliction or persecution arises, for the word's sake.
For the what?
The word's sake.
You see that? For the word's sake. For the word's sake. Now you're going through trials and tribulations because of what you believe in. Because you don't keep Christmas. Because you don't keep Thanksgiving. Because you don't wear pants anymore. Because you had to divorce your husband because he was a white man. Because you got a different job. Because you set order in your household. That now you understand you the man of the house. All of these different things are you suffering affliction for the word's sake. Read.
Immediately they are offended.
What happens?
They are offended.
Immediately you become offended. I am offended. Why? because you didn't read the Bible. Give me that offenses shall come. Matthew 11:6. Yeah, I think that's it. When you read the Bible, you understand offenses have to come. They have to happen. That's how the Most High sees if you read your Bible or not. He wants to see, are you going to apply the scriptures? That's why he tells us to congregate and join a congregation. He wants to see, are you going to apply these scriptures that are written? He don't have thou shalt not steal for you to be by yourself. You can't steal if you're by yourself. I got to put you around somebody. I got to put some gold in front of you. Put a Babylonian garment. I got to deck a sister out in the baddest garment so you can apply thou shalt not covet. That's why he do these things. Read.
Matthew 11, verse 6. And blessed is he whosoever shall not be offended in me.
What did the Bible say?
And blessed is he whosoever shall not be offended in me.
Who shall ever not be offended in me. Read. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
I want offenses shall come. Matthew 18 and what?
Luke 17:1.
Nah, I'm gonna go with Aaron. Let's see who's right. Let's see, we're gonna find out today.
Matthew chapter 18, verse 7.
Don't be wrong.
Woe unto the world because of offenses, for it must needs be that offenses come.
There you go. It must need that offenses shall come. Read.
But woe to that man by whom the offenses cometh.
Right. So offenses must happen. You know why? Because you got to apply Matthew 18. We have to apply the scriptures of God. That's why it's so important. I'm going to hit on later in the second class. All we're doing right now is rehearsing for what's to come. All this is practice. I was at work yesterday. I was just like, man, this whole life is fake. It's like, it's all just literally a game, man. Like, seriously, this is not real. It's not real. It's like, yeah, you got to eat, you got to get a job. But it's like, let's say I was a billionaire and I ran the whole world. It's not real. Because when Christ comes back, he's setting up something completely different. If you ain't doing what you're supposed to be doing when he returns, nothing that you did on this earth matters. This lasts for a few years. Y'all know that, right? This world that we live in only lasts for a little bit. When Christ comes, he's setting up an eternity. Forever. Not saying don't be successful. Not saying don't strive for a better paying job, big house. You got all that stuff. That's great. But it's not real. That's why I was like, that's why I have peace at the job. But sometimes me and Cap, we always talk about, me and Cap Matthias, it's like, bruh, this ain't real. It's not. But it says, he that is faithful over least, he'll make you faithful over much. That's going into your work as well. So you gotta do what you're supposed to do on the job. Gotta be a good labor, all that good stuff. But it's like, because I work in the school system. So I hear these kids, their conversations, and I'm just like, this world, man, it's not real at all. They all mannequins. It's like, why y'all even here? It's fake. It's fake. But anyway, that's my little rant. Go to Sirach 5 and 9. So it says you're not rooted in the truth. It says offenses shall come. Offenses shall come. Sirach chapter 5 verse 9.
Sirach chapter 5 and verse 9.
So you have to be rooted in the truth. Like we went over, you got to understand your nationality. Then you can understand repentance, and then you can battle your sins. Read that.
When now, not with every wind. When no, not with every wind, and go not into every way.
So get that definition. Type in winnow. But read it again from the top while he get the definition.
When no, not with every wind, and go not into every way.
And go not into every way. All right, let's get that definition. Winnow. You can see it? Nope. Yes?
Yeah. Blow a current of air through grain in order to remove the chaff.
Hold on, I want to see some other ones. To
remove something such as chaff, by a current of air. 2. To get rid of something.
Scroll down. Blow, separate, scroll down. Device for winnowing. Let's dive into synonyms. I don't like that one. That's all we got?
The word's so old.
They couldn't even find another word for it. But basically, it's like you're going through a proving process. It's going through a proving process. Because like I said, it says to separate the chaff by fanning. So when you're doing that, you're being selective in what's happening. So that's why it says, winnow not with every wind. Don't do that with everything you learn. If everything you get, you got to go through a process of whether or not. Don't do that with every single wind of doctrine. Winnow not with every wind, and go not into every way. Meaning you're not wasting your time. A lot of brothers and sisters, what happened? They want to study with us. They want to study with Nation of Islam. They want to be Egyptologists. Don't go into every wind of doctrine, because now you have no root. Those be the brothers and sisters that we see at camp. And be like, hey. They be like, yeah, I know who you are. You be like, yeah, why you ain't come to the school? Not yet. Like, what you mean not yet? How long you been watching? 18 years. You be like, yeah, 18 years? Alrighty then. And that's when I leave. But don't go into every doctrine. Don't winnow not with every wind, and go not into every way. Finish that?
For so doth the sinner that hath a double tongue.
Right. Go to Ephesians 4 and 14. Ephesians 4 and 14. So don't waste your time trying to prove every single doctrine out there. You want to test a little piece of this, a little piece of that. No. Go all in. Go all in and get the understanding. Read that.
Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 14. That we henceforth be no more children, tossed to and fro, and carried about with every wind of doctrine.
You see that? Don't be tossed to and fro with every wind doctrine. 1 week you're in the Christian church. The next week you're in the Nation of Islam. Next week you're an Israelite. Next week you're an Egyptologist. Next week you're Scientology. Next week you atheist. Don't do that. Be steadfast in your understanding. Really give yourself the chance to learn what you are learning. And if you're learning out of the scriptures, it's going to make sense. If it's precept upon precept, line upon line. And if it's not, ask for understanding. And the Most High give it to you. Give me that, let's say he upbraideth not. Go to, I think it's James. James 2. James 1. James 1 and I think it's James 1 and 5.
James chapter 1 and verse 5.
Yep.
If any of you lack wisdom,
read.
Let him ask of God.
Let him what?
Let him ask of God.
Right. When you pray, you should always pray for understanding and wisdom. Read.
That giveth to all men liberally.
You see that? Who gives the understanding? Read it.
Let him ask of God.
Let him ask of God. Read.
That giveth to all men liberally.
Right. So what happens? You ask God for the understanding, and guess what happens? Somebody on earth already has the understanding. What will happen? He'll put those men in front of you to get the understanding. He's not going to take you up on a mountain for 40 days and 40 nights and you get the understanding. Those days are done. He tried that. And they tried to kill Moses for it. So he's not doing it that way. Now he gives the understanding. Like I said, most of the time it's a YouTube video. And you'll get the understanding. It's that simple. But ask of God, because he giveth liberally. Read.
And upbraideth not. And it shall be given him.
And it shall be given unto you. So when you ask for the understanding, he's not going to withhold it from you. He's going to give you the understanding that you're seeking for. Alright? From there, go to Colossians chapter 2 and verse 7. Colossians chapter 2 and verse 7. Y'all follow along?
Yes.
Alright.
Colossians 2 and 7. Rooted and built up in him.
Rooted and built up in him. Who's the him? Christ. Read.
And established in the faith, as ye have been taught, abounding therein with thanksgiving.
So we must be rooted and built up in the understanding that we have. If you are not rooted in this truth, if somebody asks you how you know you're Israelite and you're not able to answer, you need to start studying. Because if you can't, you're not rooted in this truth. If you don't know why you do what you do, that is a problem. You don't have a root and foundation of what you believe in. The worst thing that could ever happen is somebody asks you, how do you know you're an Israelite? You can't answer. Give me that and give it the answer. Every man give it the answer of the hope that is within you. 1 Peter 3:15. 1 Peter 3:15.
1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 15. But sanctify the Lord God in your heart, and be ready always.
And be what?
Be ready always.
Not just when you at Camp 101. Not just when you out in the streets on the Sabbath. Read it again.
But sanctify the Lord God in your hearts, and be ready always.
And be ready always. Read.
To give an answer to every man that asketh you a reason of the hope that is in you with meekness and fear.
You see that? You got to always be ready to give an answer. That's like the brother asked. He's like, hey, well, what if I don't have my Bible? It's like, okay, just paraphrase the Bible. Give them a reference of the reason why. Worst thing you would want as a sister, you got on a fly dress, you looking nice, and it's just like, hey, why you wear dresses? And you ain't got no answer. Don't let that be you. You better know the answer. You better know the reason of your hope. Brother got a clean beard, big beard. Like, hey, bro, what's up with that beard? And you say, huh? You got no answer for why you do what you do. That's Christianity. This ain't Christianity. Everything that we do is a teaching mechanism. From the fringes to the beard to the dress, because we are aliens on this earth. We are aliens on this earth. We are the shining light. Everybody see us. So we got to be ready to give an answer. All right? From there, go to Wisdom of Solomon 4:4. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 4 and verse 4. So it says, we must be rooted and built up in Christ.
Wisdom of Solomon chapter 4 and verse 4. For though they flourish in branches for a time, yet standing not fast, they shall be shaken with the wind.
They shall what?
Be shaken with the wind.
Don't be shaken with the wind. The wind is what? Doctrines, contrary to what the Bible says. Like it was a lot of wind a few years back, 2 years ago. A lot of wind was coming through. And a lot of brothers and sisters were not rooted in this truth. And it's just like hurricane season. Some years it's bad, some years it ain't. But you can count on it coming. So you got to get yourself built up. Read.
And through the force of the winds, they shall be rooted out.
And what?
And through the force of the wind.
And through the force of the wind, doctrines, heresies, contentions, offenses, through the forces of the wind, read.
They shall be rooted out.
You will be rooted out of this truth. That's how you know Christianity is not the truth. There ain't nothing you can do in the Christian church to get kicked out. Y'all ever heard of somebody get kicked out of Christian church besides an Israelite? Israelites, you get kicked out of church quick. You come in there teaching the truth, you kicked out. You can be a whoremonger, you can be an adulterer, you can be a pork eater, you can be an idolater. You do whatever you want in the church, and you ain't got to worry about it. But the Bible says you're going to be rooted out when you walk in the true faith. All right? From there, go to Exodus 3 and 1. That sound effect. Lion's Den tomorrow. Exodus 3 and verse 1.
Exodus chapter 3 and verse 1.
Uh-huh.
Now Moses kept the flock of Jethro his father in law, the priest of Midian. And he led the flock to the backside of the desert and came to the mountain of God, even to Horeb.
Read.
And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in the flame of fire out of the midst of the bush, of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed.
Read.
And Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burned. And when the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called unto him out of the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Draw not nigh hither. Put off thy shoes from off thy feet, for the place whereon thou standest is holy ground.
So, when Moses was about to get the understanding from the Most High God, he had to forget what was taught unto him. He had to leave his understanding, his previous learning, his preconceived notions. All that stuff had to be left. He said, draw not thither, put off thy shoes from off thy feet, for the place where thou standest is holy ground. He said, I'm finna give you something that's separate, that's different from anything else you'll receive. That's what all of us do when we come into this truth. The Most High is telling all of us to take our shoes off our feet. Leave that understanding, that doctrine that you had before, leave it at the door and be open to receive this understanding. Ecclesiastes 5:1. Ecclesiastes chapter 5 and verse 1. How to get the understanding. How to get the understanding. Read that.
Ecclesiastes chapter 5 verse 1. Keep thy foot when thou goest to the house of God.
Read.
And be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools.
You see that? Be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools. That's why we ask questions at the end of class. Because a lot of times brothers and sisters have not too bright questions during the class. It's like, hey, I'm going to answer that later. Yes, I'm going to answer that later. Let me finish the class, and then we'll answer that. Read it again.
Keep thy foot when thou goest to the house of God, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools. For they consider not that they do evil.
Right, because you don't understand the questions that you're asking sometimes. They're going to get answered in time. Sometimes you have immediate questions that you have, and there's no problem. No such thing as a dumb question. But a lot of times you sit and you answer and you wait, you get your question answered. If not, it is sometimes you'll look not too bright. All right, from there. Sirach chapter 6 and verse 32. So, the end of the day, we understand, we get the understanding from the top down, from the wise men, and then it will descend upon you. So the Bible says that as well. Read that.
Sirach chapter 6 and verse 32. My son, if thou wilt, thou shalt be taught. And if thou wilt apply thy mind, thou shalt be prudent.
Right. If you want to be taught, you will be taught. Whatever it is you want to learn, you can learn it. I guarantee it. There ain't too much nowadays that ain't available for you to learn. Read.
Verse 33. If thou love to hear.
If what?
If thou love to hear.
You have to love to hear. A lot of times brothers and sisters come in, they want to talk the whole time. You have to love to hear. Read.
Thou shalt receive understanding.
You see that? That's what the oldest saying in the book. You got one mouth and two ears. If you love to hear, you'll receive understanding. Read.
And if thou bow thine ear, thou shalt be wise.
Read.
Stand in the multitude of the elders, and cleave unto him that is wise.
And cleave unto him that is wise. Meaning what? Get around the brothers and sisters that already have the understanding. Be quiet and listen, and boom. There you go. Before you know it, you consider wise as well. Read.
Be willing to hear every godly discourse, and let not the parables of understanding escape thee.
Read.
And if thou seest a man of understanding, get thee betimes unto him.
Read.
And let thy foot wear the steps of his door.
And let your foot wear out the steps of his door. What does that mean? Yeah, a lot of us, you can't see the bishop every day. You can't go to his house. But there's a million classes online. You can't be around certain brothers and sisters every day, but there's a cell phone. There's a telegram. That is how you wear out the footsteps in 2020 if you can't physically do it. And when you do have the opportunity, you have the quest, you have the men's conferences, you have the tabernacles, all these different events that we have. Get around the brothers and sisters. And that's when you're able to do these things. Read.
Let thy mind be upon the ordinances of the Lord. And meditate continually in his commandments.
And do what?
And meditate continually in his commandments.
You see that? Meditate continually in his commandments. It all goes back to the law. You can't have understanding without the laws of God. The Bible won't make sense. The reason why we're able to understand Christ fulfilled the law of sacrifice is because we know the law of sacrifice can't even be fulfilled today. So he had to do it. If you read through all the different ordinances and so on and so forth, you'll understand when it says that yoke of bondage. You'll get the understanding that, like, dang, they did do a lot back then. The priests had to go in, they had to do this, they had to do that. It's a lot. But if you don't understand that, you never read it, none of it will make sense. Read.
He shall establish thine heart and give thee wisdom at thine own desire.
That's the key part. And give thee wisdom what?
At thine own desire.
At your own desire. The Most High will give you understanding at your own desire. That's how brothers are able to be precept kings and not apply stuff. Because the Most High, he ain't going to take the understanding away from you just because you ain't applying it. I mean, well, he will. I take that back. In the beginning, he'll give you that understanding. Now, how long you keep it is up to you. I'll prove that to you. Go to Sirach chapter 4. Start at verse 17. He'll give you all the understanding you want at the beginning. But if you're not applying it, after a while, he's going to take it from you. If you're disrespectful, if you're prideful, if you're an adulterer, if you're a murderer, if you're a hater, he'll take all the understanding away from you. He'll let you keep it at the beginning because he's merciful. Read that.
Sirach 4 and 17. For at the first, she will walk with him by crooked ways.
You see that? The Most High deals with us in crooked ways. He will deal with you in crooked ways. Read.
And bring fear and dread upon him.
Right. He'll give you a small correction here, small correction there, and see what you do. Read.
And torment him with her discipline. Until she may trust his soul and try him by her law.
You see that? Anybody that has understanding is going to be tried by the laws of God. He won't allow you to keep it if you're not keeping the commandments. He's going to take it from you. Read.
Then will she return the straight way unto him and comfort him and shew him her secrets.
Right. Now, if you go through the trials and you find yourself worthy, he'll give you more understanding. If not, if you continue to want to just learn and not do, read verse 20.
But if he go wrong, she will forsake him.
But what?
She will forsake him.
The wisdom will forsake you. It will leave. If you don't see yourself changing. But like I said, he'll give you the understanding. That's nothing to the Most High, because he's longevity. A day is 1,000 years. You get the understanding for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, that's nothing to him. You can be fake for a long time. He's like, all right, cool. And then he'll slowly start to try you and see what you do with the understanding. Read verse 20. Read verse 19 again, I'm sorry.
Verse 19. But if he go wrong, she will forsake him.
Read.
And give him over to his own ruin.
And give him what?
And give him over to his own ruin.
To his own ruin. Remember, that's why we said, after year after year after year, if you're still dealing with the same thing, there's something wrong. Because he's going to give you the solution to the problem. You should be getting better in certain areas of your life if you have the understanding of the Bible. Because it answers all problems. All right? From there, Sirach 8 and verse 8.
Sirach 8 and 8. Despise not the discourse of the wise.
Do what?
Despise not the discourse of the wise.
Don't despise the discourse of the wise. Read.
But acquaint thyself with their proverbs. For of them thou shalt learn instruction.
Read that again.
For of them thou shalt learn instruction.
That's how you get the understanding. Being around the elders, the brothers and sisters that know the Bible, the Titus 2 meetings, so on and so forth. Different things come out when you are around them. You can't gain wisdom with everybody that has the same understanding as you. You don't gain no wisdom like that. You got to be around brothers and sisters that are greater than you. That's why it says, never serve a man lesser than yourself. Read.
And how to serve great men with ease.
Read.
Miss not the discourse of the elders, for they also learned of their fathers.
Now we figured out the secret. Like I already said, the understanding goes from the top down. How you think Bishop got the understanding he got? Learn from his elders. How you think they got it? Learn from his elders. And as they've been bringing out, when Elijah came back on the earth, sometime he taught the people, and that understanding just keeps growing and growing and growing. That's how this thing works. But nobody just has wisdom descended upon them. You have to be taught by somebody. That's why he said, how can I, except some man guide me? Read that again, verse 9. I like that.
Verse 9. Miss not the discourse of the elders.
Read.
For they also learned of their fathers.
For what?
For they also learned of their fathers.
So if anybody tell you they just showed up in the truth, and they telling you, I know just as much as Bishop, I know just as much as the deacons, they are lying. Because that ain't how the bishop and deacons learn. They learn of their fathers. That's how they got the understanding. They had to put in time and effort to learn and study the material. It was not just handed to them. Miss not discourse of the elders, for they also learn of their fathers. Read.
And of them.
And of what?
And of them thou shalt learn understanding.
To do what?
And to give answer as need required.
And how to give an answer. That's how you do it. That is how you do it. You have to get it from the brothers and sisters above you. Why does he do that? To humble you. Because if he just gave you the understanding, what did it say knowledge does? Knowledge puffeth up. He want to give us all of it. That's why I say he gives it liberally. But the Israelites, we're rebellious, stiff-necked, disrespectful people. So he said, you know what? I'm going to do everything in order. You're going to have to go to these men and these women to get the understanding. So you don't think it's of your own doings, because it ain't. Y'all understand that?
We used to scream black power while heroin was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission. Minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road, purple and gold. From Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are our men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.